I'm Ceil Stanford, and we're going to talk about paradigms. What on earth is a paradigm? You know, that was a word introduced probably back in the 60s, I believe. Maybe I have it wrong. It may be the 90s, but nevertheless, it's become more and more used today. And so a paradigm basically is just a model, an example, a pattern. It can even be a mental pattern. So in the last 5 weeks, we've been talking about the 5 important factors that basically make up the basic paradigm of today, of humanity. And those 5 factors are you, the spirit, your vision, your mind, your body, and your identity. So, what does that have to do with the paradigm? Well, let's talk about what happens within the paradigm. The paradigm actually is the box, if you will. And optimally, you want to be outside the box, because when you're outside the box, you can perceive things that you can't see when you're in the box, because remember, it's a pattern and you always want to be outside the pattern so that you can perceive it for what it is, if it needs adjusting or if it's working, and if you're getting the amount of success that you should be getting based on the paradigm that you're working within. So let me give you an example. So long ago, back in the Christopher Columbus days, there was a paradigm or a mental pattern that most people had going on for themselves. Basically, they believed that the earth was flat. Now, and there was a whole lot of agreement about that being the truth, if you will, that no, the earth was flat. And if you think about how that one paradigm really affected what was going on at that time, you know, people were, you know, they're sailing, you know, and trading was very limited because they thought you'd fall off the end of the earth. It was dangerous. It was very scary. So the amount of travel they could do was shortened by that. So it limited their resources. So their thinking was very limited around that. A lot of fear outside that paradigm. Okay. So they stayed within a very small box, if you will. Now, Christopher Columbus came on, took him several years, but his paradigm, his viewpoints were that no, the earth is not flat, it is round. He was an astrologer, so he had studied a lot about planets. And it just seemed to be common sense with him that if the sun was round, you know, and everything else that he studied and learned about the subject was round, that no, the earth was round as well. So he went on about and he thought outside the box. His mental pattern, his paradigm was, no, the earth is round. Let me prove this. Finally got someone to support him, the queen, and then went about sailing and proved that, hey, he was correct. His paradigm was correct, that the earth was round. What did that do? That opened up the ability to have more resources. People had more avenues to trade with, just more abundance in other areas, that there was another world out there. So just being able to inspect and study and see that, oh, this paradigm doesn't seem to be true, and question it and doing the research and getting the knowledge, that actually shifts the paradigm. So what does that have to do right now in present time? Well, there are actually 3 different paradigms, okay? And the way that you manage them are very different. So a red zone paradigm, red zone meaning stopped, red zone example means that when you're in this type of paradigm, the results of this is it plunges you down into failing with unhappiness and not being successful financially, just really being into poverty, not having a lot of things. So when you're in that type of paradigm, the overall mood level is very hostile. So when the next paradigm is yellow zone, which is, if you look at a traffic light, that's very cautious. So when you're in that zone, that type of paradigm, what you need to do is you need to debug it, because there will be some things that will be correct in it, but there will also be some things that are limiting that need to be debugged so that you continue to ascend on up toward the green zone paradigm. Now, when you're in the green zone paradigm, right place, you're getting results just like at a traffic light. You don't stop at a traffic light, you go through it, you are going, you're on your way. So the green zone paradigm, very little in that needs to be changed. You need to be aware, inspect it, always looking at your results, and you should be experiencing more success, more friendliness, more love, more happiness, more prosperity in whatever area you want to be prosperous in. If it's friends, if it's money, if it's success, if it's more clients, whatever that is. But the reason why you really, really, really want to inspect that and always be aware of what you're doing so that you can continue to replicate that successful pattern over and over again, because a paradigm is a model, it's a pattern, it's an example. So when you've got a green zone paradigm working, really, really be present with that. Be aware, inspect it, identify the things that you are doing that's causing you to have a green zone paradigm, and that will make you very, very successful right now, at this moment, at this place. And see you next week.